All right, thank y'all for being here. I want to recognize the crowd, first of all. I thought they played a huge factor in the game. Definitely the most intense, biggest crowd we've had at a man trip in 5 years. Thought they were into it from the start. They made a difference. I think Pitt had 9 penalties in the game, several procedure penalties. I think noise had a factor in that. I think our guys fed off of it. Fed off the energy. We had some bad things happen to us in that football game. You lose your starting quarterback, who's really not only your starting quarterback, but he's really kind of the heart and soul of the football team. He's the high energy guy. He's the leader. He's got he's a guy that's easy to follow, and he goes down on the second drive. And playing at home in that type of atmosphere, I really thought, especially our defensive players, fed off that. And so I want to credit the crowd. And we play a game next week too, and so we'd love it for all come back and make it really hard on those guys from West Texas. But a huge win. I thought it was a team win. They call it the brawl for a reason. And that wasn't a thing of beauty. That wasn't like a classic. They're not going to talk about the beauty of that game for a long time. But regardless of what it was a win for West Virginia. And I have a lot of respect for Coach Narduzzi and that team. They've won a bunch of games the last 2 years. It's been something that stuck with us for 54 weeks. And we had a chance. We had a lead in the fourth quarter 54 weeks ago, and we did not finish. And I think the evolution of our program, and I think a lot of it has to do with our offseason, a lot of it has to do with the leadership we have, the fact that our best players are on both fronts. I think that has really helped us. And we're a tough football team. We're a mentally tough football team. We're a physically tough football team. And I thought that showed, and it was ugly, and we can play ugly ball. But I'm proud of our guys, really proud of our staff. I said this to our team, and I made a point of this. It had been since November 25th of 2011 since the state of West Virginia and our fan base had experienced a win and been able to celebrate a win over Pittsburgh on the gridiron. And our state needed this. Our university needed this. Our football program needed this. And so this is a huge win on a bunch of different levels, and that's not lost on us. And it's also, these are the type of wins, like, I'm so happy for our staff. And not just the staff, but also the families of the staff. There's been negativity, and like, I can tune it out. I live in a bubble, honestly. I mean, I go 2 places, counting 3 if Dax has a flag football game. And so I'm in this building, I'm at my house, and I do a radio show. And that's basically what, I'm in a bubble. But our staff and their families have to deal with that. And so I'm excited for them, so they shouldn't have to deal with that for a week, and that's a group that puts a lot of time and effort into it. And so I'm really happy for them. They can experience this. That's one of the best traditions in all of college football, is singing country roads after a win. And that feeling in that locker room, if you can bottle it up and sell it, it'd be the top seller wherever you went, because that's a great feeling when you put a lot into it and you're able to get the payoff. And so pleased with them. I thought offensively, just, it wasn't pretty, but we were able to ground it out. We ran for 51 for 151. We had some lost yardage in there when we tried to throw it. It's tough. Backup quarterbacks get about 25% of the reps. And so first time in a long time, like, I had our call sheet, and I don't know if you saw it, I was carrying a notebook, and I just made a bunch of notes, plays that I felt like that Nico felt comfortable with and what he could do. And it was about half of a sheet of paper. And he went out, and credit to him. That's a tough place. And I think it speaks to him. When you think about this, he's had 2 wins where he played the majority of a lot of snaps on the road at Oklahoma State, which they hadn't lost in a long time at home. I know people don't want to talk about that game, but we did beat them at home at the end of last year and broke like a long winning streak for them at home. Okay. And he played quarterback the whole second half. And then tonight, in a really tough spot, and biggest rival we have, national television, and he gets thrust in there in the third series. And a lot of times people don't win football games. A lot of times what happens is people lose them. And what he didn't do, he had a fumble, but he came back and he didn't lose the game. And I think that you can't lose. That's something that should not be lost. And I know you guys that really understand the game understand that. And then defensively, we've been, probably fairly criticized over the last, year and a half that we haven't played, especially in the secondary. We haven't played as well. Well, those guys go out tonight and they get 3 interceptions. Pitt struggled the entire game. After the first drive, they ran the ball and had some success running, but they didn't really do much after that. And so I'm happy for those guys. In the secondary, I'm happy for Dante Wright, Shadon Brown, Jordan Leslie, those guys. They had a good plan, and the players went out and executed. And so overall, huge win. And with that, I'll take questions.
So expound on the defense there. Did you go uh-oh after that first drive, and then how did it turn after that? I mean, what was the difference from there?
No, not necessarily uh-oh, because we were able to hold them to a field goal, which I thought was really if you want to go back and really think about some big drives of the game, I think that was big as any of them. I thought the 2 drives defensively that were huge. We get them to stop in the red zone, and they kick a field goal, and right after Nico's fumble, we get a pick. And that was a huge momentum swing because we scored the next play. And so, we came back. We just misfit it. They basically ran power all the way down the field. I don't even know if they threw one pass that whole drive. I don't even know if they threw it. And the disappointing thing was they didn't catch us off guard. We kind of expected them to come and try to run the football, and they did. They had some success, but after that, I mean, they ran the ball 36 times for 130 yards. We really played the run well after that.
Trey Lathan with some really timely tackles tonight. What did you see in his performance?
Well, he's gotten better. He's gotten better. You think about a kid that had to make his first career start at Penn State, and he's gotten better the whole time. He's really athletic. He's exactly what we're looking for in a linebacker, and he's athletic enough to play in coverage. He plays in our speed and our third down packages and does a nice job. Should have had a pick tonight. He's probably the one time we got a hand on the ball that we didn't intercept it. But he's getting better, and he's a guy that's got a bright future. He really does. I think it's a great story. C.J. Donaldson and him from the same high school, and really good friends. And I thought both of them performed well tonight.
Do you have an update on Garrett at all? Right
No, obviously y'all saw him in a boot. He tried to go back. He couldn't really put a lot of weight on it. So it wasn't. He would have liked to gone back. I don't think he could have performed. And so we just made the decision that it wasn't. I'll have an update when we meet on Monday, but I don't right now. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I think it kind of scared him. He's where he's recovering from the TCU injury. I think it scared him more than anything. But now after that penalty, I mean, like we'll deal with that on Monday.
Those are 2 really noisy runs at the goal line, man. You see something there from your guys that just feel like a punctuation mark for your physical.
He was violent. Yeah, I thought he was violent. I've said this, like, we really went back and, like, who do we have to be successful? And we talked about really 4 things. We need to be a disciplined team, which that penalty from CJ wasn't, but we had 3 penalties in the game, and 2 of them were kind of silliness, and we really played clean football after that. But we have to be disciplined. We have to be a team that strains. I thought we played extremely hard. We got to be a team that's tough mentally and physically, and then the last thing is we got to be smart. And we've really worked the toughness. I've sat in this chair and told y'all this was the most physical spring practice we've had. This is the most physical fall camp we had, and I knew that's who we had to be successful. And you saw that. I think that the Wyatt Milums and Thomas Remack and Brandon Yates and Zach Frazier and Doug Nestor, those guys really took it personal. And once Garrett got hurt, they knew the game was going to be on them. And I think CJ felt the same way. And he ran the ball as well in that first drive after the break as I've seen him run it.
Did you say anything to Nico after the fumble?
No, here's the thing. It was I thought he had 2 moments there where, he forgot to motion a guy on a play like in that drive where we had to punt. We got a good defensive stop and where we didn't send out the right personnel grouping, which is ridiculous. But we didn't send out the right personnel grouping. We took a timeout, and then he forgot the motion on the next play. So we had 2 bad little plays there back to back. And then the fumble, and he just didn't. He took his eyes off the snap. He took his eyes off the snap, and it's a little thing, but those are the type of things that cost you, because I felt like we were really going in. That was second. I think it was second and medium, and we were doing a couple things in the run game they were having a hard time stopping. And so, but yeah, those were his 2 kind of mistakes.
Last week after Duquesne, you sounded pretty pleased with Nico's reps when he came in the second half. How did you feel tonight just about his nerves, playing with calmness, playing with confidence as the game went on?
Yeah, he managed the game well. We didn't ask him to do a ton. I thought he had a huge play. We had a 3rd and, 5 or 6, and he pulled the ball on his own read and got a physical run, and that was huge because that ate up about another 3 minutes of clock and put us in position. I thought he made a couple nice RPO throws, hit a glance on a 3rd down, hit an outcut to Preston. That was a nice play. For not getting a whole bunch of reps during the week, I thought he managed and handled it pretty well. If he's the guy, next Saturday, if that's the way it plays out, then he'll obviously have a whole week's of practice, and the expectation that he'll play much improved, and I believe he will.
In a situation like tonight, how does your role as a play caller change when you go into the game with a certain plan and then it is condensed so much?
Well, they played us a little bit different too. They played a lot of 4-3, which that's not necessarily who they are. They did some different things with their ends. And so really, once you get a feel for what kind of game it was going to be, and, toward the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, it became pretty evident what kind of game it was going to be. And so you got to be able to adjust. And so that's what I was saying. That's when kind of the call sheet that we had, kind of put that away and had some notes that I took at halftime. And then I kind of maintained those notes on some things I saw how they were playing us. I thought Chad and Matt did a really good job in the run game as well. And then Sean Reagan up top helped us with get us some throws when we needed them. But yeah, we had to completely pivot, and I thought we did a good enough job to go, and we didn't screw it up, and we scored enough to win.
You talked about promotions and demotions within the secondary throughout the week. Mm-hmm. What did you see from them, and what has Ruffin done to kind of solidify?
I think Malachi Ruffin's a great. I made a statement that nobody in our locker room had beaten Texas Tech, and he came up to me and said, "Oh, I did my freshman year," and I said, "Well, I forgot your ass was that old." And so I think it's a great story. Walk on its game and earned a scholarship a few years ago, and then he's worked himself in. He started the game tonight, which he earned, and he had a huge pick. That pick at the end of the game, that was a great play. Ball bounced off, and he made a great play, and I thought he competed. But I can't say enough good things about him, what kind of guy he is, and how he kind of was patient. And there's not a whole lot of patience in the world today, right? And especially in our game. And I thought he was patient, kind of bided his time, and he's made the most of it.
Now that the game's over, it was a similar kind of result a little bit for Pitt's offense from last week in Cincinnati. Did you see something in that game that made you think Phil in particular is vulnerable and you can get some picks here? Or?
No, I think that, so Cincinnati's defense and ours are very similar. They're very, very similar. So and Pitt knew that as well, right? Our fronts are similar. The games we run up front are similar. The simulated pressures we run are similar. They're a little bit different coverage-wise because they play a little bit more man. We wanted to make it tough on the quarterback, and I thought we got pressure. People are going to point and blame at him, but it's hard to throw the ball when you got people in your face. And that's the easy choice a lot of times for fans and critics is, well, it's got to be the quarterback. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in front of that quarterback. And so we were able to get pressure, and we gave them some different coverage looks, some things I told you we were working on that we didn't necessarily show at Duquesne, because we did some things in the Penn State game that Jordan, myself, Shadon, Dante, we knew that we had to get better at, or we were going to get picked on in certain areas. And so we made some swift changes the week of Duquesne, and wanted to get through that week and not put it on video, and I think that helped us. We gave up a couple big pass plays against Duquesne, which everybody's panicked over, but I think it really helped us in the long run because we were able to show those today, and I think we were able to confuse them a little bit.
mentioned execution errors on the first drive, but to turn it around that quickly and so completely, to go from marching down the field to not giving up anything close
Well,
like that.
I thought what happened too is we were really energized early in the game, and so sometimes our linebackers we were flowing too fast, and they were hitting some gap runs, and we were shooting. Listen, Coach Signetti did a good job. That was a really good opening drive by him. But once we settled down and played really good gap integrity, then we felt like that and I've said this, like, we've got a good football team up front. We do. We roll a bunch of different D linemen in, and those guys are really progressing. And so those are favorable matchups for us. And so I thought it would be difficult sledding for them to run it. They did a better job early in the game than I really thought they would. But credit to our guys because they settled down, were more disciplined with their eyes, and we were able to get the ball down better. You had a question, sorry.
Yeah, how big is it for your defense in the fourth quarter? They went turnover on downs, calling for an interception. For them to close out the game and not have your offense have to close out the game.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of a good football team. You know, I think it's a sign of a good football team, and we've had confidence in that group. You know, I don't think they've played as well as they could, you know, up until this game, but it was huge. Like, this was a game that was going to be won running the football and being able to stop the run and who could create takeaways. And we were able to create takeaways, and we ran the ball just a little bit better than them, and we took advantage of the takeaways more than they did.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.